I'm Kate Owen, and I wrote an album called Not a Proper Girl. So I recorded that album with Ben Edwards in April.
Right.
And it's 12 tracks, and they are all very much written about, being a woman of a certain age. And that's what the title is. The title is very much, people say, is it a commentary on gender or sexuality? And I'm like, no, it's not at all.
Right.
It's very much about the pressure of society puts on us to be a certain way, and if you don't tick the boxes, and you start to feel like you're not good enough, and all the things. Right. So that album was made full noise with a full band with Ben in April, and then we were touring it in March, and obviously we know what happened in March.
Yes.
So my response to that was to I needed to do something to connect with people. Right. And I decided that I was going to make 12 short films, one for each track on the album.
Definitely want to hear about these films.
So what I do in a live show is I obviously connect with people. When you do a release, it's all, album cover and promo shots and all this kind of veneer. And then you get to go to someone's gig and you get to meet them. There they are, they're a human being.
Yeah.
They're playing you songs, and they're telling you about themselves, and they're telling you about why they wrote the songs. And when you don't gig live, you don't get to have those relationships. So I wanted to make something that enabled me to tell those stories. And because I'm a visual storyteller from being a video editor 100 years ago, but what I wanted to do was, I watched Sharon Van Etten's little film about her departure from New York, and it really struck me as this really generous sort of intimacy that she was offering up to her viewers, which is, this is who I am, and this is what I do, and these are the environments I exist in. And I mean, I don't obviously have the profile that Sharon Van Etten has, but I guess that's always what's driven me about music, is just the humanity of it. So these films are totally, it's just me in my lockdown location in Mapua talking to the camera about the songs and about my journey. And I've used a lot of archive footage, which has been super fun, because it's kind of, as you know, as a video editor, when you take images that may not be from exactly what you're talking about, but kind of flavor what you're talking about, or make it more intense or more weird. And I've loved doing that. So I've used a lot of archive footage, and also some live footage of me playing, and and photographs of some personal photographs from both recording, but also from my family life, because a lot of this album is written for my mother. I took my mother's maiden name for the album, because we lost her to suicide when I was 23. So the album's dedicated to her, and because previously I was Kate Anastasiou.
Right.
A good solid Greek name. But I just, I really wanted to honor my mother, and it's not Greek music. Right. So it was a lot of things, but I really hope that people, the big thing that came up when I was writing, text for press releases and website, was I want people to be proud to tell their own stories. Mm-hmm. I think way too often, people just don't feel like they're good enough. I mean, we have one of the highest suicide rates in the world. And when you're a woman and you don't have a child, there is a massive exclusion that you go through, and it is still in New Zealand, because we are a country where it's safe to bring up children, and a lot of people are breeding and all of the things. And I just want people to kind of look at it and go, you know what, I'm proud of myself for living, and my stories are just as valuable as those Instagram wedding photos, and that's kind of what I wanted to do.
Right. And you find on that topic, a lot of female musicians feel that they have to make a choice between having children and continuing on with their career. One can't, I mean, it can be done, obviously, and people have done it, but at the same time, it's difficult, and some people don't want to make that decision.
And just, look, it's something that we don't teach women about their fertility properly. And so I was of the generation that, oh, look, Madonna's having a baby at 40.
Right.
You know, everyone can just, you've got heaps of time, do your career, travel, do all of these things. And then a lot of women I know found themselves not able to have children. And also just, not everybody meets that person that wants to do it with them, you know. And
That's true.
I just think it's a complicated area, but I think it's a story that doesn't get told enough. You know, we tell the love stories, we tell the breakup stories in music, and it is changing more and more. People are singing more about other things, but, you know, like my record label is Spinster Records. So a spinster is a woman an unmarried woman of a certain age with no children.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, it is. So I just wanted to kind of, there's a feminist record label called Spinster in the US, so I couldn't have Spinster, but mine's Spinster. And I just think we need to embrace, you know, our wisdom with our age and our stories, and it's happening way more on screen. You're seeing way more older women actors in powerful roles, and in that regard, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
But that's all well and good to say, but what you feel inside can be really different. You know, you go to parties and you're always it's always +1 or whatever. And if you haven't got that structure around you, you still feel like a bit of a loser.
So getting back to your films, do you want to talk about some of the specific ones and what was involved in making them? Because we'd love to hear about them.
Yeah. So the films are published, there's 12 short films, one for each track on the album, and they're sent out to you via your email, so you can watch them whenever you want, in 4 themes. And the themes were daughter, lover, mother, and nature. And for example, with the one that's just gone out today, day 1, it was 2 songs, Lullaby and Daughter. And Lullaby talks about, you know, our need to be comforted, and it's talks about that with me just speaking to camera, essentially looking like I'm being interviewed.
Right.
And then there's a lot of images that are of the environment that I'm in, so you can see where I am. And I think that again is that trying to draw people into my space, trying to get close to them like we can't during COVID. You know, when someone comes up to you after a gig and they go, oh, it really touched me because, you know, I wasn't able to have children or whatever. And you don't get to do that at the moment. You might get a comment that and so I wanted people to, you know, everything is about opening windows and getting closer. And then there's some archive footage. In fact, in Dangerous Dreams, which is the second film released on day 1, I found this archive footage, a crazy old car commercial that fits perfectly with the song. And it's just super cool to see the song come alive with these other images that are helping people with my storytelling and hopefully allowing them to get behind the songs and really understand where they came from.
Right. So today is day 1?
Today is day 1. Daughter, yeah. So those are the 2 songs, Lullaby and Dangerous Dreams.
Very cool. So what happens after today?
After today, there's Lover, which is all about the myth of romantic love. I think there's 4 of the tracks in there. Then there is the Mother, which was, to be honest with you, pretty harrowing to cut. I spent a lot of time crying. It was hard because, you know, suicide again is a really tricky death in our society. I don't get to talk about mum much. People don't, you know, it's too painful, and but there's lots of photos of mum in there, which is beautiful for me, and to be proud of her rather than, you know, sort of hiding it behind, you know. So that's Mother of this, and then the 4th day is nature, because one of the things that again is really coming to the fore through a lot of things in my life is that our relationship with nature is as important as our relationship to each other. And we've kind of siloed it off and made it separate. And it's all the chickens are coming home to roost, you know.
Well, it seems that way. You'd like to think that people would get that message. I mean, it's coming from everywhere, but again, I just had a discussion with somebody a few minutes ago. It's like people believe what they want to believe no matter what they're told, you know, and no matter what the evidence is. It's incredible.
Well, the thing is, you know, I became a vegan a year ago. I've been a meat eater all my life. I've participated in, you know, industrialized agriculture for most of my life, or all of my life, except for the last year and a few years of vegetarianism. But it just became a no-brainer for me. I just can't participate anymore. So, and I met somebody recently who is an activist for Sea Shepherd, and he, you know, once you've been around someone who's actually looking at the truth of what's happening, what we're doing, what we're allowing to happen, it becomes very, very, very difficult to participate.
Yeah.
So nature, the day 4 of the film's titled, you know, themed Nature, is both about our human nature and about our relationship to nature. Because again, that's been the sort of turning point for me, in that, okay, I've got all of this angst around where do I belong in my immediate society and family and children and parents and, you know, all the things. But then actually there's something right on my doorstep that I can relate to straight away, which is my garden, when I finally get one, which is, you know, my planet, the environment, the animals, you know, it's all there. Like, we're so separated from it. And I think that causes us pain, and it causes the planet pain. So I think for me, it's like coming through all of this quite Western navel gazing, individualized story and pain around who am I and where do I fit in, and sort of coming out the other side and going, well, I'm actually part of a big system, and I can nurture it and be careful by if I open that door. So that's been a really great sort of weird process of, you know, writing these stories about me, turning towards a sort of more vegan lifestyle, and then meeting someone that kind of held a lot of mirrors up, and then coming out of this film project and going, that's my next chapter, is writing about this other stuff. There's other parts of us that are related to nature, I guess.
Right. So this being day 1, how can people get access to what you're doing?
Okay, so my website, www.kateowen.co.nz. There's an opt-in page there. You just go through the front page. But go to the website is the best direction. And they can watch the wee trailer on there. And all they need to do is just they're free. It's just an email address, and we'll send them to the inbox and the email inboxes. And you can actually watch them at your leisure. Once you have the link, you can just click it, and you can go and watch the films when suits you, pour a glass of wine, and
And do they have access to download them, or are they just watching them on the link that you provide them?
Just watching them via the link, via the website. I think I will eventually release them as it was very cool. Graham Reed referred to them as a video album, and I think that really sums it up.
Sure.
But it's I think eventually we'll do that. At this point, I really wanted to kind of have that relationship again like we have when a gig. So I'm giving them to people who have turned up and want to sit with me in these stories. So that's why we're doing it like that. But eventually we will publish them, I think, as
Right. And speaking of gigs, are you waiting for that to happen?
Well, I've rebooked the tour. I must be insane. So there's 3 dates. Christchurch will be doable because Flip Greater has been running these amazing spaced out sessions at Greater Goods.
Great.
Yeah, so she's had Julia Deans, Mousy, all some great acts through there. And so I'm pretty confident that the Christchurch show can happen because it's a level 2 design. Auckland, 31st of October at
Halloween.
Pardon?
It's a Halloween show.
I know. So
you have a venue?
Yes, Frida Margolis.
Oh, great. Okay.
So that's 31st of October, Auckland, Frida Margolis with my band. Thomas Isbister on drums, who is a delight. Moses on guitar, who played on the album, who does beautiful atmospheric surrounds. He's just a lovely guitarist.
Right.
And Kurt Preston, who Moses plays with in House of Mountain, that's where they. So that's been super cool, getting this 4-piece together.
Yeah.
The song really grown. So that's Auckland on the 31st at Freedom Margolis, and then Third Eye in Wellington on the 24th of October. So
Cool.
they're both Saturday night gigs, and the flights are booked. So
you got to go, man. Let's hope. I mean, something's got to give.
I know.
I mean, I'm all for doing whatever needs to be done to get this thing out of the way, and I'm trying, you know. But I think everybody's kind of getting in the same mind that something has to give, because we can only financially and business-wise, mentally, people are starting to get to the point where it's just not going to happen if it just keeps going on like this. So I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, I feel like I don't know enough to lobby for any direction. So
Right.
I feel comfortable following instructions.
Sure. Yeah, same here. Tell me what to do.
I just like, no. But I think that from a live music perspective, I think that, like, so we've got a backup plan if we can't make it to Auckland or Wellington. I've got a live record booked. So we'll record the show live. So I think what I am learning is that now if one books a tour and you're going to rehearse a band for that, you want to capture that work. So if you don't get to do it live, you can. But I think, I mean, I was very lucky. I got those flights sponsored. Computer Concepts sponsored those flights for me that I originally booked in March. So, and they were booked for a particular purpose. So I was able to rebook those. So I think looking at tours as being, having to build risk management around the tours, I think is the big thing. And you just have to be flexible, you know, and I just trust that we'll get there eventually.
I hope so. I think we will. We seem to be heading in the right direction, at least, which is a lot better than the conversations I have with people overseas. So, well, thank you. I'm glad that we got to talk about all your stuff, and especially on the day one, it's very exciting. So hopefully we'll get the word out, and people will be signing up and watching your films and stuff. So that's cool.
Fantastic. I really appreciate your time.